Hey guys, this is Duranosaur. I just wanted to give a little bit of a preface on what this video is. I have these dungeon incentives for the leaderboards on the Classic Dungeon Speed Discord, and the first one was a live strat incentive. For these live strat runs, Shwreck and I decided that we would just sort of watch them casually, go through them, and just enjoy them on my stream. So that's why I'm not dressed up. That's why it seems pretty informal. It's because we're just watching and enjoying the runs with you guys. Go ahead and stay tuned, and you'll hear and see Shwreck and I going through these live strat videos. I figured we could just keep it casual. We have...
Sounds good to me. I feel like I lived in Strat Undead the last couple weeks, but did not find my way quite over to the live side as much. But
Yeah,
trying to get that frost resist gear. Fairness is not always kind.
yeah, absolutely. Zidane, do you think we'll have a next launch raid team? I don't know. I don't know when we're going to actually do next on launch day. That's a good question. I need to double check that. And Vimp, dude, how are you doing? We are going to watch... I've got Shwreck here on the line, and we're going to watch some of the live strat speedruns. So I put this thing out about 2 weeks ago, just like an incentive for people to run live strat and submit speedruns. It's like a small monetary incentive. I just said like, hey, the fastest team at the end of this 2 weeks gets $5 a person, and like all older runs are also grandfathered in. So it's like just whoever's at the top of the leaderboard after 2 weeks. Each person on that team is going to get $5. So we have a few runs here, not a ton, but we do have a few. So we'll jump into these here soon. I do want to let people know this is what I'm doing. But yeah, I did cheat a little bit. I didn't want to watch any of the runs before today because I wanted to be surprised. But someone submitted one that seemed too good. Like the time seemed too fast, and I was like, okay, I don't want to like watch this on stream and have it like be something crazy that doesn't fall into the rules. So I did watch one of them. So I will say that. I don't know if you watched the one that got submitted, Shwreck.
I haven't watched any. I wanted to go into this completely blind. I think Strat's a really interesting instance because I feel like of all the kind of classic 60 level dungeons, it's got some of the most RNG in terms of the padding, the Eyes of Naxxramas, a handful of things that can spawn that kind of throw little wrenches into your works unless you're doing things like mind controlling or not mind controlling, mind visioning just to start certain patrols or something like that, or making sure that you have a certain sequence for it. But
yeah,
I'm really excited for the runs because I think up until you get into the humanoid section of Strat Live, it can get a little bit wonky. But,
yeah.
Even there, it can get pretty wild too.
Yeah, absolutely. So if at any point, Shwreck, you want me to like pause or anything, let me know, because like we're not really on a time frame here, and there aren't like a ton of runs. So if stuff happens and you're like, wait a second, can we go back? Like, absolutely, just let me know.
Yeah, we'll take it to the analysts and do the 3D enhanced.
Oh yeah,
analyzations.
I need to,
word, right?
yeah. I need to like have an iPad that's like also pulled into OBS so that I can mark up the whole screen and talk about like their movement and the plays they called and all this stuff. But that'll be maybe for the next one.
I've got the Surface.
Oh yeah,
it just keeps freezing, so I can I can shake it and make excuses or get frustrated at it like I'm an NFL coach.
Oh yeah, perfect. There we go. We just need to get you on camera, and then we'll be able to take advantage of that. All right, so here's the first one. I am going to do these in order of, like, slowest to fastest. So that's kind of, I guess, as we get into it, you'll get an idea of, like, where we're headed. But, yeah, we'll jump into this first one.
Alright, so, Fist, you open because you're doing the recording.
Spoiler, we already know this one's not a winner.
Yeah, sorry, but I do want them to like. I want the intensity to build as we go here.
Pull that left. Pull that left.
So this is a 4 warrior, 1 priest ally team. So they are, I mean, this is like the conventional like cleave team, I guess. This is what I think most people expect when you talk about like classic WoW dungeon speedrunning, to like bring 4 warriors in. They're just
Don't get the
alliance.
Wind Fury though.
Yeah.
Whenever, I mean, I'm just so horde centric at this point that I think when I see 3 warriors, I expect to see a pink or blue depending on what UI you use.
Yeah, and I think it's really, I guess like priest is just like an insanely good healer, right? Like better than paladin enough that like this is the ideal alliance cleave team.
Yeah, I mean their mana regen is just so strong. They can be so efficient. Like if this priest is really plays it smart, they really don't have to ever drink, like ever.
Yeah. And already they're moving at a blistering pace. I'm pretty sure there's mobs like trailing behind them, like caster mobs that they're just ignoring, and they'll have their. I'm sure the priest has aggro, and he's just gonna like LOS as they go, so that they like, or they run out of mana. I guess is the other thing, is the mobs will run out of mana after they cast enough spells on him.
Yeah, and eventually catch up.
But yeah, they're skipping those ghouls. On the left.
It's interesting that they went through the Unforgiven path or decided not to go through the main entrance. I definitely think this is obviously the best path, but I was curious if you're running with maybe a more mage heavy incentive, it may be better to do some of the bigger packs, which if you go the different route and you have less bosses or less of the abominations that you can get padded into. You go for more of the AE pools, but it looks like they're going for a little bit more of a traditional kind of route, just kind of blasting through anyway, because they've just got so much cleave damage.
Yeah, and I think I've only gone into live doors one time in all of Classic. So I don't even have a very good like idea of the difference in the mob packs between live and dead side.
Yeah, I mean it's mostly all of these packs that you see here. You can pretty much avoid all the ghouls, and then you get the abominations that are padding. I think this pad is a little bit less of the big packs, and there's not as many abominations, but you do have to go through the Unforgiven, and there's a couple other little patches that are. Ooh.
That guy went down. I was gonna say the priest has 0 mana.
Oh yeah, he's at 105 right now, so a little bit rough. That's unfortunate.
I think they'll be fine. Like they're gonna clear this up, but
they'll definitely clean it up, but it's gonna hurt them in the long run. Winning those world buffs is always rough.
Oh, Zidane's talking trash about them not having Rind for their live Strat speed run.
Yeah, I mean, I was half expecting to see them to get the RFC buff, with the armor and the thorns. I mean, we're presenting world-class speedruns. You got to have world-class buffs. No, I'm kidding. I'm just happy they submitted.
Oh man, it's gonna get real sweaty. I know that one of the upcoming runs, like, it gets pretty sweaty. So that's what I wanted from these runs in general. Because like the other thing is when we do the competitions, like Shwreck and I hosted the last one, and then so there's been 2 so far. The last one and the one in October. Like we had rules about what consumables people could use, and we had like specific like extra bosses people had to kill, and just other rules and restrictions like that. With these runs, there's basically nothing. The outline is like, here's when you start the clock and you kill the last boss of the dungeon. That's it. Anything else goes. You can have all the buffs you want, you can use whatever consumables you want, you can skip whatever trash you want. So with these runs, it's gonna get to the point where you're like, are they even technically running the dungeon? And I think that's a cool place for us to get to with these before maybe we start adding in like other requirements. Because I know that a lot of people were like, oh well, like at a certain point you're talking about like skipping everything, just going straight to the last boss, and like that you're not even running the dungeon at that point. Like no one would ever do that. And it's like, that's true, but also it takes some practice and some like time and commitment to like get that down, and I think that that's a really cool thing.
Well, it's funny too, because you set up a bunch of restrictions for the last contest, but we're still learning. People are always. It's amazing how people are like salesmen with their commission when it comes to running these things. You give them a bunch of rules, and then they figure out ways they can borderline break them or find alternatives to go around them in some form. I mean, we saw that with the Light of Elune. We saw that with the upcoming contest. People were talking about summoning people or pre-summoning people around, and it's interesting. Even though you put quite a bit of limitations, people find ways to bend around them and kind of not break the rules, but work within the rules to their own favor. It's always amazing to see how people kind of innovate within those constraints. You see that in like kind of the logs culture when people start requiring X amount of tech packs you need to kill, or what trash packs, and how people adjust to that and form metas like the SEAL Team 6 meta you see in AQ, and it's pretty wild. And so that's one of my favorite things with these speedruns is seeing how people figure out ways to innovate, even with constraints being thrown against them.
Yeah, and that's like every time, because I feel like there are people who bring up real criticisms to these different speedrunning stuff, to like whether it's this leaderboard where there's like basically no rules and people say like you need some more, or for the competitions where we have a lot of rules and a lot of restrictions and they're like, this is dumb, you shouldn't have any. Like there's sort of the people that are bringing it up because they think like, oh, this is good, but it could be better. But then there's also people bringing it up because they're like, this is just bad. And I think that the point that I'm trying to make here is that until enough people do enough of these runs for us to really understand like what's game breaking and what's like not actually fun for the speed run, like we're not going to know what those things are. So I'm a big fan of people like pushing the boundaries to the point where it's like, oh, they're basically taking advantage of so many like small details that they're like, it doesn't even feel like they're playing the game anymore. Like I want to see people push it to that point, like you were saying. Like I want to see, like, even if people are using like evade spots and different things like that so that they can like just like skip everything imaginable, like I think that that's cool to see because it shows like an understanding of the dungeon, understanding of the game, that like the average player might not know about. And some people might watch runs like this and learn something, even just a small detail that they can take back to their own live strat run. And like maybe they're not doing it at this speed, at this pace, but they're able to say like, oh yeah, I know that we can do this thing this way because I saw it.
Well, I think everybody in games loves to find something broken or something bugged. Like that's the first thing people talk about when new games come out half the time is what things are broken, how can we exploit this and that. It's just it's kind of a fun thing to find some of the quote unquote vulnerabilities or whatever, and seeing how you can exploit them and do some amazing things that you would not be able to do otherwise. I mean, like one of my favorite vanilla moments was the two paladins going and then two-shotting Kazakh or one-shotting Kazakh. You know, when back when ret bombing was a thing. And it's always interesting because a lot of this stuff is almost like like a little time capsule. Because in some respects, some of the things that you can do now or do back then are not possible because either specs aren't available or abilities no longer work the way they used to. So I personally love to see people push the envelope, break something, and then us have to work and build rules around it if need be. I think that's a much more interesting dynamic, personally.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like if somebody could figure out how to break that stun that happens when he transforms, so you don't have any of that down. Like, I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll see in one of these runs someone figures out how to get around that. But.
Yeah, and I think it might be a horde only thing, but I think that if you're like in here and like an orc resists, he doesn't regen all of his life when he does the transformation. There's like weird things like that I don't know how, if people have like optimized. Yeah,
I think Zidane and chat's bringing up some good points though. Like that area was a very traditional run, is how I'd kind of describe what this run was.
Yeah,
like there wasn't a lot of skips. They didn't use any invis pots. They didn't pull a ton of extra, but they didn't try to avoid a few things. And I think a couple of those hallways potentially could have just been completely skipped.
Yeah.
With some convenient, even, gnomish cloaking devices, whatever, that kind of thing. So
this run came in, you can see there in the top left, 8 minutes, 52 seconds. I think you're right. I think that like kind of going back to when we hosted the last competition with Dire Mall West, these guys just zugged, right? They're just like, hey, we're going to push the pace as fast as we can. We're just going to kill all the normal stuff we would kill anyway, and we're going to see how fast we can do it that way. And so this is a good example of like, if you have full world buffs, like pretty much any group out there could do this run. Maybe not as fast as these guys, but I think like a sub 10-minute live strat, if you got like a full group world buffed, is totally possible.
We can play a fun game maybe, and it's guess the server that we think they're from.
Oh, guess this. Yeah, if they're NA or EU.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna say this is an NA guild. Probably, I'm gonna venture against because their alliance. It's a PvE server, so I don't know. I don't.
I think I can actually give you. So they are on Yojamba in a guild called Social Distancing. So I can actually look that up right now. So Yojamba
PvP
is a US, yeah, it's a US PvP server. Yeah, following the tradition of our NA players just zugging.
Yeah, but this is our first alliance zugging. What is there another term for alliance who zug?
Oh
zagging?
man, that's a good. I wonder, is there anything that alliance NPCs say that's like in the same realm of zugging?
For the alliance, but that, I don't know. That's just too wordy.
Yeah, that's too much. Elder is asking how many submissions are there. So there are. I got 3 total. Unfortunately, that was all that I got for this, but they ramp up quite a bit, which I'm really excited about. So this next one, this should be the. I guess now that we know there's only 3, so this is going to be the second place run.
Holy shnikey!
Hey, thank you guys for the follows.
I just want to say, all who submitted did make it to the podium, and there is a podium. So
Yes,
there's going to be more contests in the future, and there's plenty of places on the podium. Well, not plenty. There's 3 places on the podium.
yeah, and I will say,
you could get on there.
I'm not paying out people right now that get, second or third place in these like little 2-week incentives to run the leaderboards. But I do have a plan for kind of the end of Classic where, everyone in the top 3 gets something, or it goes towards something, and it ends up being like a larger prize. So if you're, I'm actually getting told there's a better quality for this one. Because they're watching right now. But yeah, they're later on
Called and gave a better copy, right?
Yeah, exactly. So later on, like as we approach sort of the end of Classic, I will say that we are going to have more like a bigger, larger competition and incentive that does have to do with like first, second, and third place on the leaderboards. So I'm excited for that, and hopefully when that gets announced, like it'll get even more people thinking about doing these dungeon speedruns, and it rewards everyone that has already done them. So, you might think, we only have second or third place on one of these right now, but that could mean quite a bit down the road. Just saying.
We'll say we were talking about how people can exploit mechanics and whatnot, but I feel like Nax gear is a form of like mechanic exploitation just because of how freaking ridiculous it was. I was doing jump runs for the first time since I'd gotten AQ gear, and it felt like a joke how easy it was compared to what I remember doing them back when I was phase 2 farming for the Lionheart helm. And I'm just thinking with Nax, what people will be able to do and push with just the gear that they're going to get in the next coming phase, and the trinkets and all that is going to be unreal. You think about people with a couple phylacteries walking into Strat Undead, and it's just like butter,
Absolutely. So I don't want to spoil anything, but you guys can see at the top left of the stream, this is a 4-minute and 23-second run that we're about to watch here. So this is half the time of the last one. So we're gonna see
an interesting comp with this one with the 2 rogues.
Yeah, 2 rogues.
I like it.
Druid, priest, warrior. Yeah. So this one we're taking a little bit step up here. I think this is one of those that's like, this is probably going to stand for quite a while. So I'm excited. So we'll jump into this. I don't know what kind of audio they have. I am going to spoil it and say that I think these guys are EU, which just continues the trend of EU players just dominating these dungeon speedruns. Yeah. I think they're on Gehennis as well, which is, as we know, is one of the most stacked servers, I think, in the world.
Oh, yeah. They're a bastion for just sweats.
So it looks like they're mind visioning. Maybe
mind visioning.
Maybe getting patrols set up. Yeah.
That's what the team that we had in the contest do that ultimately won for Dire Mole West.
Yeah. They're just. This gives us some time to.
A lot of dagger rogues is interesting.
Yeah.
From what I can
I was just gonna say, like, these guys. I think both these rogues are using daggers.
I think so. I'm having a tough time because he keeps jumping around the human one, so I can't quite tell. But I think it's all daggers.
Yeah, I think I see a Corehound tooth. Maybe that's. Oh, maybe.
That's what I'm thinking too. I don't know. Might be an AQR.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a brute blade, I think.
He's got Death Sting and Puyo.
Yeah, so he's doing well for himself.
These guys are a little geared. Looks like they're getting ready. Man. Yeah, this is a super interesting call.
Though, is it a scepter or is it the AQ-20 mace? You never know. It looks like they're about to get it going right here.
Yeah. I just TV coming in, missing his Death Sting. Man, that's like what we were talking about earlier, though. Nax, it is a big ripperoni, but like I think at the end of the day, Nax gear is going to be what determines a lot of these runs. So keep farming, keep at it. So they're dragging.
They say it's not about how you start parsing at the beginning of the phase; it's how you end the phase. Yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever gets locked in at the end. Same thing with our dungeon speedruns. Okay, so he is. Man, this rogue is
going for a sprint.
But he's getting seen by everything, right?
He's going past the for
but he's got evasion up for 2 more seconds. He popped a lip, I think. So they're just like, this is a monster stack of mobs right here.
Lip. And here come the sappers. They're just melting them down.
So this was like the first, or no, they did the first pull and then they pulled together here like the next like 3, 4, 5 pulls.
That was about 3, 3 big packs.
Including
the boss.
Yeah, including the boss.
Did not pull that abomination. It's interesting. I wonder if that's what they were mind visioning at the beginning, was the actual abominations, because those were the ones that are in the main paths.
Are they skipping? Oh no, they got it. They got it. I was wondering if they were just gonna like skip it and just say like we're not gonna be here. We're not worried about the gargoyles.
I ain't got time for that.
But it looks like the bear is tanking, which kind of makes sense. Like I think bears just have a better time AoE tanking, or tanking multiple mobs in general.
Yeah. I always blank on the name of that one ability they have. It's like sweep or something that allows them to hit multiple at the same time. And actually has threat build as opposed to cleave. But does free up the warrior to just go in and smash, which is always big.
Yeah.
Getting a clutch distract on that abomination. I'm always a big fan of a rogue who knows how to use there. Already getting in some of the holy waters. I'm saving those for next. These
guys are just
playing for keeps.
Yeah, they're dishing them out. Swipe is what Kinson is saying. Swipe is the ability. We don't see a lot of feral tanks, or we haven't seen a lot of feral tanks in the dungeon speedrunning, so we haven't had to know. Ooh, they did not. They almost pulled extra mobs there. So they're at 228 right now. They're over halfway.
They just popped on the Novice cloaking device and a nifty. So it looks like they're prepping that for one of the hallways, and they're going to see if they can dash through a couple of those at once. What we were
that was
talking about earlier.
A mind soothe on those mobs. Oh, they ended up pulling them anyway, though.
I mean, that's a rough. That's it's a big because there's a pretty good chance of getting a resist on those mind soothes. But it can be the really big play in order to skip a lot of these big packs. And we were kind of talking earlier, and can be the difference in these speed runs, especially for Alliance, when if they don't have the Shaman if they're trying to zug through things, the Mind Sooth can get you through quite a few places.
Oh, they're Mind Soothing again.
All the time at BRD. Here you go.
Are they? Oh, you don't even have to invis past those groups if you Mind Sooth them. Yeah, yeah.
The Gnome's Cloaking and the Nifty, so they're going to try to get through at least the...
So they got through here. I'm wondering if they have invis pots to do another section up here.
Well, their pots are on a cooldown, too.
Because we got like 1 minute left.
I see swiftness pots and invis pots on this guy's bar, so we'll see. Here he goes. He's got his mouse over. There it goes. Pops it.
They're just running. Are they? Ooh, let's see. Oh man,
they'll be able to get to the boss.
They got all the way into the boss.
Any of those? That's massive.
At this point,
they also dodged that pat. That one pat does go in. Oh, are they gonna? Oh, he healed. Oh, they were very close to batching that. That was very close.
Oof. They even popped like the tentacle trinket, everything. 423.
Love to see it.
Jeez. So Zidane talked about it. He mentioned it. He was like, "Man, are they invis pots? That's like invis pot and trinket." And I think that's like, yeah. If you're trying to do, I think like any dungeon runs.
I don't even know if the first couple pulls even saved them that much time, but easily they save 4 minutes off of just skipping basically the entire live section of the dungeon.
Yeah, it'd be
which is totally doable.
Holy shnikes.
Big Hennis boys, hello. Air Squid and Burftastic. Hello. Thank you guys for the follows. I wonder if those are part of this team that just ran. I'm actually gonna, before we jump to the next one, I kind of want to go and see that last run, the first run that went, what their time was when they got to live side. Yeah, like where were they at when they got to live side?
They didn't lose too much time off of that one Maya Smooth pack that they ended up having to kill. That was probably about 10 seconds or so. But
okay, so this is them. So they're at about 4 minutes here. So they weren't as fast. So definitely like doing that monster pull and AoEing it all down, I think was even better than just like the general melee cleave.
Sure. They did have a death at this point though.
That is true.
They also had a little bit of a tough time getting to this point, but I do agree that, I mean, I'm sure it saved them some time.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest point of that time was just the inside the invis pots cut off. I'd probably say at least 3, if not 4 minutes.
Yeah, they probably could get like this first team that went, they ended up with like the almost 9 minute run. They could probably have gotten, around 5 minutes, like Zidane is saying, had they utilized the invis pots to skip all the different mobs once they were inside the cathedral, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, it shows you how big those skips can be and how much that can be like the difference maker as opposed to just steamrolling everything.
All right, so we have one more run. And these, like, the two fastest teams, they messaged me directly with their runs, which I'm kind of glad they did. And I think for future things, I'm going to have people, I'm either going to set up a form for people to submit the runs, or I'm just going to have them message me, because I don't want like groups that are interested in doing it to see like, oh, there was a run that just like destroyed us, so we're not even going to submit, or we're not even going to like try. But yeah, I'm glad these guys sent their runs to me early, I guess is what I'm getting at. So we do have one more here, which I'm getting set up here. I think this guild's name is Return, but they are not the Return, because there was like a Return, I think, from private servers, and I don't know if it's the same group of people. So. It is the same group. Okay. Night Strider, I think, is in this group.
The Return has returned?
The Return of Return. I don't think they ever left. I think they've been around. So these guys
Don't call
fully
it a comeback.
fully world left, as we can see. I think he's got a shadow protection up, which is a little extra spicy. Again,
All rocking the Xantha speeds for this one, which makes total sense. We're just trying to book it through.
yeah. Ooh, they took a 9-month break after phase 2. So they came back just to dungeon speedrun, it sounds like. That's the impression that I'm getting from this, is that I brought back Return by putting this together. I'll take
You're
full
the
credit.
returner of the return of return.
Yeah. It's the Return of Return brought to you by Tyrannosaur. 9-month break with AQ40 shoulders, kind of sus. Yeah, maybe. And a Thunder Fury and everything.
I mean, to be fair, you can get achy shoulders in like 1 week.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the Thunder Fury could have been a while ago. He's
This-
rocking a Cargill Warblade.
Yeah, this
They're not playing for. They're just going for it.
yeah, this is also 3 warrior mage priest. So this is the only caster DPS out of these 3 runs.
Carries the weight of all mages on his shoulders right now.
Ooh, yeah. Zidane's also pointing out they do have a frost protection up as well, probably for Unforgiven. Okay, so it looks like they're doing kind of the same thing as the last group. They're just pulling. Let's see how far they go.
Popped a FAP just to make sure he's not getting slowed down at all.
So pulling more.
just
Pulling
sending
more. Okay, so they pulled. Oh my gosh, they pulled
What
like
a
2 or
sight.
3 groups more than the last group.
And he's popped this Diamond Flask. I don't think he was rocking a Diamond Flask set, so he's not getting any healing, but they're just trying to blast.
And they, oh man, I wish. Okay,
They
so
just
damage
melted
done.
That group.
That
That was
mage,
just unreal.
that mage just did 71k
One
damage.
point- Yeah, he was just doing 1.8k DPS.
Yeah, and that's like,
Unreal.
oh man. Okay, so that was insane. That was already like the biggest pull.
They're doing a lot to just keep cutting on that side. They managed to skip that pack that I don't think the other group skipped actually.
I think maybe the second group did. But yeah, that's one of those things that like that first group I don't think skipped it. Is he equipping? So also nifty
The Gnomish
stopwatch.
cloaking device.
Yeah, nifty and gnomish.
Yeah, he just that was a fresh Gnomish cloaking device.
Oh, man, they
First
got the-
time ever
The boss here. That's too bad.
the rare spawn.
They have the Piccolo guy. Yeah. That's man, that's just like is added time
They're
there.
not even gonna loot him. Rip.
What if he had the Piccolo?
Yeah, it's worth redoing your speedrun, guys. Get the Piccolo. Come on. You're not that far, and they're missing on a holy water right there.
Ooh. The
This
sacrifices
is some fat loot. The sacrifices for to be the best.
to be the best. Man. So they've I don't think they have that many mobs right here. Yeah, I think they did a better job of skipping trash in this section, like right outside the cathedral, than the last group did.
I don't think I saw mines. I mean, I could be wrong with that. I think
Yeah.
they just committed to pulling that one side pack.
Yeah, so like right here, they're not mind soothing.
Well, they're opening up with the invis spot.
They are. I wonder. I mean,
Same
it's
for the looks like a lesser invis too.
yeah.
Interesting.
So they got the same amount of mobs skipped here. So I think it's gonna come down to like, does whatever they do up here? Because I think the other group, invis skips like basically the rest of the mobs, right?
Yes,
Versus they're doing this pull right here.
they're just bringing them in. Yeah, they just skipped the other group skipped all of them.
I think they got one more. Yeah. So their choice for invis pathing, I think, made them pull one extra group.
Yeah, that looks like the case. So they actually pulled a little bit more. See if
But
they're able to Get through this. No. None of the groups were able to get through that batch. There's some way to get through that. That's going to be a good chunk
Oh, man.
of time off.
Yeah. So they, I mean, we're about to see here. So they got 4:10. Return coming in 4 minutes and 10 seconds. So just to put that into context, like the run that we watched before this was 4 minutes and 23 seconds. So our...
And they had the rare spawn too.
Yeah,
they
so they
definitely lost probably, I'm going to say 5 seconds at least off of that.
Oh, yeah. Like, and they, I mean, just their choice of invis pathing, like, they probably could have gotten sub 4. I think you guys are listening right now and hanging out.
Yeah. I think if they had a love child of their 2 runs, like if they had this group's opening like part and then the other group's just live section, oof.
Oh,
that would have been easy sub 4.
Yeah. So for anyone watching this who's thinking ahead and thinking like, man, maybe I want to steal the live strat fastest run, you've got some good resources now from these 2 runs. So these guys are the winners of this, like, of the live strat incentive. So I'll be reaching out to these guys. I'll be getting them paid. It's just a small monetary incentive, but obviously this was worth it because we got some insane live strat runs that I think are going to be hard to beat, but I think they've also opened up a lot of possibilities with different groups.
Can we go back to that pull, the mage? I just want to see them get melted again. I want to see like what the actual DPS that mage was at when they just came in and just destroyed that section.
Yeah.
Holy
Thank you guys all for the follows, by the way. So we'll watch this. I will say we didn't have much time to practice. Oh man, you guys absolutely crushed it. We calculated that we could lower our time with 50 seconds if we did some small changes. So yeah, so team number 2 is talking about how they could have gotten sub 4 as well, and I think like, yeah, absolutely. So let's watch this again. So this, like, I feel like the DPS here is even so we're watching the mage DPS. He's getting up to 1.9k DPS. He was in combat that whole time. So like, this DPS isn't even what he had within that like short period of time, right? That they like actually killed all the mobs. This is like 1.8k when you take into account they were running around with a bunch of mobs chasing them.
I mean, the Warriors did a great job of all sappering and blasting right at the same time, so they actually had a good amount of threat, so the mage was able just to come in and just melt and not have to worry about getting clapped by a bunch of mobs in 1 second. So.
And Zidane's pointing out, look at the healer's number 2 on damage right now.
Yeah. Holy Nova is no joke and actually does work. It's horribly mana inefficient, but
that's
it just absolutely melts in those runs.
Just a monster pull.
Now, if you guys are in the chat who did the run, did you go back to check to see if you got a Piccolo? I think that's what all the heart of the nation is all wondering at this moment.
Everyone wants to know, was there a Piccolo? But yeah, I'll also take, I mean, I'll keep this running and say that this was the first of these dungeon incentives, and there's going to be more, and I'm actually going to tell you guys right now what the next one is going to be. I haven't announced it yet. I haven't put it into textual form, but for all you guys watching, you get a little bit of a leg up here. The next one is actually going to be Scholomance. So we did see the first classic dungeon speed competition was Scholomance, but there were added rules and restrictions. So this is going to be a Scholomance just following the leaderboard rules. That's going to be the next one. Again, we're going to have 2 weeks. The fastest run at the end of the 2 weeks is going to win another $5 per person. Just another little incentive to get people running. Go run Scholomance and get some dark runes. You know, farm up some stuff.
Now, Duran, for this competition, I know in the original one was required to kill Raz. Is Raz going to be required boss for this round?
The Frost Whisperer, no.
Yeah.
So actually, I can jump into this and look real quick here. The rules for Scholomance are that you kill Gandling. That's basically it. The run starts when you either aggro mobs or when you like cross over the bottom of the staircase at the start of the instance. So that's when the run starts. The run ends when you kill Gandling. That's it. That's all that's required of it. So same thing. I'm excited to see like how much abuse people can inflict on Scholomance and to get the fastest possible run. So
yeah, that'll be really fun to watch. I mean, I know as a person participating in the first contest, even though our run was a bit scuffed, we had some fun playing with some of those reset spots like you were talking about and skips, and all those runs required Raz, so they'll be a little bit different for some of the people that are coming in, not having to go down that section, and we'll open up the actual speed. And we learned there's some actual requirements on how much trash you have to kill, so it'll be interesting to see how much people play with that and how much they either minimize how much trash they have to kill or just say, screw it, we can kill all this stuff at once. And
yeah, I mean, and that's like, sorry to jump in. I feel like that's going to be something that unless people watch that first competition, they're not going to have any idea, right? Because I don't think you guys submitted your run on the Scholomance leaderboard. So that's still, I think, one of those unknowns. That like, yeah, the people who watch the competition, they got sort of that little extra bit of knowledge, but I'm not going to say exactly the like specific mobs you're talking about, but there are some extra requirements in Skolo that I don't think very many people know about.
And as we were talking about with this the scaling of gear, in the run that won, one of the most clutch moments was I'm a carry doing the soloing one of the sections with his diamond flask set. So,
yeah.
As more people try to maybe think about doing that or get more Nax gear where you're just kind of basically become a living god in vanilla, it'll be interesting to see just how much more people are even pushing the envelope.
Yeah, because like you can imagine he did that in a room that I think typically you wouldn't even consider necessarily. Like, I don't think that was the easiest room to like pop a diamond flask set and clear out on your own. I think there might be other rooms, like obviously not the AoE room and not the Oculus room.
But those like skeleton guys in the bottom left room are very easy to kill.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I would say that those are probably, if I'm soloing in a room, that's probably my pick.
Yeah. So I wonder if you do a melee heavy comp, a melee cleave, if you have like multiple warriors split up and go and clear different rooms, well, maybe like the healer and one other go, like if you, let's say you do similar to what these guys just ran, where they do like a 3 warrior mage priest, you could have that like mage and priest clear out like the AoE rooms, and then all the warriors go and clear out trash in like individual rooms.
Yeah, definitely. And the other groups went for reset spots, which could be fast in their own right if you're able to perfect them. But some of the groups had a little bit of trouble with getting some of the mobs to reset, and other ones had, other rooms had no problem. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of blending people goes, because it's never really one thing that necessarily works. It's usually they have to take a little bit from each of the rooms, because each of the rooms will require a little bit of a different blend of necessary strategy or most efficient use of mechanics for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So Zidane is saying that room would have slowed down the group as a whole so much. So the question is, what other rooms slow down a group, but not one person? Oh, so yes, talking about diamond flask sets, like where can, what rooms can like that solo warrior like really take advantage of the diamond flask set? Freddie Wee91 is asking about the December 12th competition. So if you guys don't know, I'll do ! Contest in the chat. The next classic dungeon speed contest with the larger prize pool is going to be on December 12th. All the info for that is in the Discord, in the contest channels. But he's asking about the specifics of that. Are you allowed to get multiple paladin blessings? Is Zanza Blasted Lands buff considered consumable or world buff? So it's sort of a multiple parter here. You can only have paladin blessings from the paladin in your group. That's sort of how I think the best way to go about doing that is. And then Zanza and Blasted Lands buffs are fine because you can get those and you can walk into the dungeon and then you can apply them to yourself. That's sort of how I'm defining world buffs. Like, can it be applied to you once you are already inside the dungeon? So, and I think Zidane answered it. No buffs on you when you enter the dungeon. Yes. So that kind of does include like paladin blessings, because I know like you're only going to have one paladin in your group. So you're only going to have one paladin able to bless people in that raid. So max of one blessing per player. I think that kind of equalizes out because like you're only going to have one shaman. So only one group's going to get totems when you do on horde side. So hopefully that kind of evens out in that sense. But yeah. Zug, Blackrock Spire. Ooh, yeah. Zidane's not going to be able to make it there. But yeah, guys. Those were the 3 runs that we had for live strat. I know it wasn't a ton. I would have loved it if we had had like 30 live strat runs and we could just sit here and watch like incremental like advancements in live strat over time. But hopefully, like, you guys got to watch those. Hopefully it inspires you to either go and run live strat or maybe participate in the next little dungeon incentive, which again is going to be Scholomance. So I'll get that posted and get just like, a little blurb out there. Again, the info on that, you're running a Scholomance, you're following the rules on the Scholomance leaderboard submissions channels in the Discord channel. And you can submit them anytime you want. I'm going to, I guess, ask that people just submit them to me directly so that we don't have, people submitting them publicly, so that they can hide their strats, they can hide their times. And then roughly 2 weeks from now, we will watch all of the submitted Scholomance runs, just sort of like we have today, and see what people are able to come up with for that one. So I'm excited for that. We're going to keep doing these like every 2 weeks. I want to pick a different dungeon and just sort of give it a little bit of a spotlight. And then, of course, we're going to continue to do the once a month larger Classic Dungeon Speed competitions. So in December, we're doing Classic Dungeon Speed 3, all class, no breaks. And that's the full Blackrock Spire, one of each class. No world buffs, because I want to give you guys sort of a reprieve. I know a lot of people are worried about Next Ram is coming out and some other things. So hopefully having it be no world buffs just allows more people to participate. And I also kind of want to check and see, like, I've had so many people say, well, if you didn't allow world buffs, I'd do it. I'm not going to say that I've like kept a list of every single one of those people.
This is the prove it moment.
But yeah, this is the like, let's, put your play time where your mouth is. If there's no world buffs allowed, are we actually going to see a bunch of these groups show up that otherwise would not? Because ultimately, I think that it's more fun to watch groups that are able to be fully buffed, fully consumed, and like really push the boundaries. But we'll see. I think that not allowing world buffs or not allowing different things like that, it does add another element to the run. And we'll see how that plays out in the full Blackrock Spire that's coming up. So thanks for watching, guys. I know that a lot of people just jumped in and watched those couple runs, so I appreciate it. This is the same channel that most of this stuff is going to happen on. I don't know if anyone's... if we'll ever do these on like another channel. If we do, it would probably be on Shwreck's channel, which is what, Doctorphilx.
Indeed. Doctor spelled out.
Doctorphilx. Let's see if that works. Yes. So that's Shwreck's channel. He also participates.
A little sparse right now.
Yeah, it might be a little sparse right now.
It's a little sparse right now, but we're beefing it up. We'll promise.
Yeah, so he also does the runs. Like, he probably does more speed runs than I do these days, just because I'm doing so many other things. But yeah, we'll keep doing these different events. I want to keep doing all this stuff as much as I can all the way through the end of Classic, because like Shwreck was saying, as you get Nax gear involved, like the amount of crazy stuff I think that you're able to do in dungeons is just going to continue to skyrocket, and it's going to be really fun to watch. And even like, I think the dream is to continue these on two fronts. One, into TBC and keep doing heroic dungeon speed runs and like competitions and things like that. But I also would love to see like a vanilla season 2, right? Where like they release fresh vanilla servers and we get to kind of see like, okay, remember when we watched that live strat competition and everyone was in AQ40 gear and they did it in like 4 minutes and 10 seconds? We're going to have another live strat speed run, but it's in like phase 1. And we'll just see like, okay, now that, you know, groups may have the strategies in mind, but do they have the gear to like make it happen? So
Did somebody say fresh?
fresh? Yes. I would love the idea of fresh. Heroic TBC and also fresh vanilla, both things. We're going to keep it going. We're going to keep trying to grow, keep trying to do stuff. The Classic Dungeon Speedrun Discord is where we live and breathe when we're not playing and doing other stuff. So join in there, keep track of what we're doing, hop in and try to participate when you guys can. You guys are awesome. Yeah. I don't know if you've got any other things that you want to chat about, Shwreck, but that's like, I'm just vomiting all the different stuff.
I would just keep pushing, and I just like to evangelicalize that you don't have to be the top 1%, one of those monsters of the EU that find the most galaxy brain strats to submit a run. You never know. There's a lot of runs that still have very limited amount of runs submitted, or rather, there's some dungeons that have very limited amount of runs submitted, and there's a lot of opportunity to find your voice anywhere on the podium. So I encourage anybody to submit a run, give it a shot, start forming up a group, find the people who are interested. If you're struggling to find people or find a group, let it be known on that Discord talk. Try to network with people in your server and just put yourself out there and get a run going. That's half the fun of it. Try to get some loot. You know, I try to find excuses for if I'm farming resist gear or if there's craftable things I made or just raid mats to go try to run dungeons and over again, because it's honestly one of my favorite parts of the game. I know I basically leveled in dungeons as a warrior, so I encourage everyone just give it a shot on these competitions. Why not? No reason not to. Even if you're just doing a joke run, just record yourself and submit it.
Oh yeah. And there's still, I mean, we still have leaderboards out there with like basically no submission. I mean, there's a couple with no submissions. There's a couple with like one submission, and it's, you know, just a random group, like you said, that's submitted. Like when if you're someone that streams or someone that has the ability to record dungeon runs that you're doing, like record it, put it up there, because you might just slide in with the top spot. You don't know. And then you putting that in like inspires someone else to come and maybe push it a little bit harder, and it's just like it's a snowball effect that I'm like, that's what these incentives are about. But it's also like, I love seeing that people in the community have already started doing it, so the more the merrier. All right, I think that's about it. Thanks for joining me, Shwreck, on this random time on a Monday.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And congrats to the teams that won today, and thank you to all the teams that submitted. It was an absolute blast watching your runs, and thank you to all the teams that will be competing in the contest and will be submitting soon in the future. You guys have a great day and enjoy yourself.
Perfect.
Happy Patch Week.
Happy Patch Week. Happy Nax Day coming up here on Thursday. But yeah, I'm gonna keep streaming here and doing stuff today. But
yeah, I'm gonna pop out. You talk later.
All right. See you, Shwreck.